Active Investor here, bringing you another independent analysis. This time we're taking a look at ticker symbol NVDA. That's Nvidia Core. The chart we have today is a one-day chart. Each candlestick on this chart representing 1 day of trading. And this stock is an absolute beast. You have two groups of people, really, with sentiments on this stock. You have one group who is going to hold it for a long, long time with no plans on selling it. And then you have the other group of people who are the doubters who say, man, this stock has been running and it's got to pull back. And you know what? They've been saying that for weeks. And guess what Nvidia has been doing this whole time they've been saying that? It's been making more and more lifetime highs. Now, I'm not going to be biased towards either side. Obviously, in the market, anything can happen. But based on the data that we have now, I will tell you my sentiments in just a moment. And I'll give you my reasoning for them as well. But before that, let's take a look at our pivot points. So we have resistance at $47.75. That's going to be this white line here at the top. If we can break that, we can test that $47.77 right above it, which is the current lifetime high of Nvidia. Never been higher than that. For support, we have $46.80 right here below it, that white line. And the final white line down there is $46.05. Obviously, there's more support on the way down, but not really relevant in the grand scheme of things right now, since the current trading range that we're at is pretty much right at $47.35. So no reason to really look at the support further down below. And if you can guess my sentiments now, since I'm telling you that the closest support that I'm looking at is 46.80 and 46.05, well, yes, you're right. I'm looking to say that Nvidia is going to keep on running. So we're doing this with a different set of indicators than my recent videos. Instead of our simple moving averages, I think the Ichimoku tells us a great story of Nvidia. Let me give you guys a brief overview of the Ichimoku cloud if you're not familiar with it. So we have the cloud down here. Then we have the Tenkin line, which is this blue line, that's the bullish line, and the Kijin, which is this orange line, that's our bearish line. When the blue Tenkin is above the orange Kijin, that's considered bullish. Most specifically, when we have the Tenkin cross the Kijin, that's a bullish signal or a buying signal. So we had that signal here. Incidentally enough, we had all that volume and a nice green candle boosting our price up from right about $36 all the way to about $41, right where we had that Tenkin cross. So that makes perfect sense. Now, what is this cloud? That cloud can act as trailing support. And it's saying that our support's all the way down here, which you might think is bad. But the other indicator of the cloud is that the more space above the cloud, the stronger the uptrend. And on the opposite side of the coin, if we're below the cloud, the more space below the cloud, the stronger the downtrend. So you can see that with all the space above the cloud, this uptrend is absolutely insane. Now the cloud also predicts the future. As you can see, there's no data here in terms of candles. We only have the cloud. That's the cloud predicting the future movement of the stock. And you can see where we're currently trading here, it's predicting that we have support all the way down here. But look, it's telling us that support is going to be raising. So the cloud is telling us that it thinks that Nvidia is going to keep on running. But the cloud doesn't know everything. Let's take a look at the rest of our indicators as well. But before we do that, or rather while we do that, I would just like to say one thing to the people that were doubting Nvidia or are doubting Nvidia. And that's, if Nvidia was going to pull back, the time for it to have pulled back was 3 days ago. So today is Wednesday, so that would have been last week or even Monday. If it was going to pull back, that's when it really had to pull back. And actually, you know what? Even Monday was too late. So basically this entire week, Nvidia's just kind of been killing it. The reason I'm saying that it had to have pulled back last week is because last week was the last time that we were below the blue bullish Tenkin line. If we're below the Tenkin line, that's when we can see a drop in price. If we're above the Tenkin line like we were over here, that's when we can see a run in price. For example, take a look over here at these candles. You can see once we broke down below the Tenkin line, that's when we started to fall off in price. And once the Tenkin crossed the Kijin and our candles crossed the Tenkin and the Kijin, that's when we had that run. So last week is when we crossed below the Tenkin, but our support around $46 was so powerful that we barely fell off when we fell below the Tenkin. And now, these last two candles were so bullish that we broke above the Tenkan again. So pullback is not looking like it will happen. It looks more like Nvidia will continue to run. And if you don't believe the Kaijin, the Tenkan, the cloud, if that's not enough for you, if the candles aren't enough for you, these last two candles being so bullish, the cloud, the Tenkan, the Kaijin looking so bullish, our candles, you know, everything looking so bullish, we can take a look down here at the relative strength index as well. What's the RSI telling us? Well, the RSI is also telling us that it's looking to continue the run. When we're oversold on the relative strength index, that's when we can see a decrease in price. And Nvidia has been so bullish, it hasn't really sold off even when it was oversold. But as a rough example, you can see when we went oversold here to when we broke up over here, the price did decrease. This entire time we went oversold, we increased. That's how bullish Nvidia is. And now we're breaking above the 20 line, indicating that we're no longer going to be oversold. We're trying to push up to the 80 line. Once we're above the 80 line, look, that's when we can see massive gains. Let me correct that line a little bit. See, when we were overbought on the RSI, on this daily chart, that's when we had massive gains there. And what's the RSI telling us now? It's telling us that it's setting up for more massive gains. So basically, every single indicator on this chart is telling us that Nvidia is setting itself up to continue making lifetime highs. Now, as a disclaimer, obviously, nothing is for certain in the market. Anything can happen. But based on all the indicators and just pure logic looking at the data in front of us, there is much more upside to this stock than downside, in my opinion. So really, that's all I have to say about Nvidia. This thing, in my opinion, is going to keep beasting it. So we'll see what it does. Maybe it'll turn around, but I think there's plenty more upside than downside. So my sentiments are absolutely bullish on Nvidia. I think the stock will keep killing it. Let me know what you guys think, if you disagree with me or if you agree with me, in the comments below. And I look forward to seeing what Nvidia does in the future. Catch you in the next video. Have a good one.